Hello and welcome back to the course on Tableau. And today's tutorial marks the completion of the section on joining and blending data. It was quite a tough section and we definitely learned a lot. And that's why I feel that it's important for us to have this recap tutorial where we can just revise quickly what we learned and make sure that we've got everything covered. But before we do revise, I wanted to ask you for a quick favor. Could you please leave a review for this course? And the reason why I'm asking you now is that even though that you haven't completed the course yet, a lot of students for some reason don't get to the very end of the course and therefore forget to leave a review. So I would really appreciate if you could click this button at the top of the course and just leave a rating. All you have to do is just select the number of stars you think this course deserves. And if you want to, you can enter a short message. If you don't, just select the number of stars and click add review. It would really help me out because it would help me understand how the course is going and how well I've done in this course. And also you would assist other students who haven't taken this course yet and are making the decision whether this course is worth their while or not. Thanks a lot. I would really appreciate if you could do that. And let's get back to the show. So, joining data. What did we learn in this part of this section? First of all, we learned about the different types of joins. The inner join, the left join, there's also the right join and the full outer join. And this knowledge will not only help you in Tableau, but in other software like SQL, MySQL, PostgreSQL, basically any relational database or database with structured data. They all use joins and you will definitely benefit from this knowledge going forward. Next, we found out how joins with duplicate values work, and by that we mean when the column that we're joining on has duplicate values in one of the tables, and we found out what exactly happens there and how to be prepared for those things. Also, we learned how to join on multiple fields, and we saw that when we do need to join on multiple fields, and we forget to do that, there can be very bad consequences. For instance, we can overinflate certain metrics or our sales figures and so on. So it's very important to understand exactly what fields you are joining on and then execute the join accordingly. So that was joining data. Then we talked about blending data. So blending data is like joining, but it's a bit different. A blend is like a smart join on the fly. So you don't have to do the blend before you do all your analysis in Tableau. Tableau can help you do this blend inside the dashboard or worksheet while you're creating your visualization. A blend is always a left join. So there's always a primary data source, which is marked in blue, and there are secondary data sources, which are marked in orange. So the data source in blue is your primary data source, and the blend will be executed as if it were a left join. Next, the common fields with the same name are picked up automatically as the blend clause. So if your two data sets that you're blending have a same field, for instance, category or date, and it's called exactly the same, then Tableau will automatically pick up that date as the field that you want to blend on. So that's great if your fields are the same, if your fields are named the same. If they're not, you can always control this via the data menu. So up at the top in Tableau, you can go to data and then edit relationships between the data sources, and you can add your own clauses there. And once again, that is important because as we recall, joining on multiple fields sometimes is necessary. So you have to make that assessment yourself in advance. Next, we also learned that blending occurs at the granularity of your view. And that is important because it is different to joining. When you join in Tableau, it happens at the row level. But when you blend, it actually happens at already a granular level, which brings us to the next point, that aggregation in a blend happens before the blend. So Tableau sends separate queries to the two data sources. It asks them to aggregate their data to the granularity of your view, to the required granularity. Then that aggregated data comes back, and then it is only joined or it is only blended at that stage. And finally, blends are unique to each worksheet. So you can have one type of blend on one worksheet, another type of blend on your other worksheet, and so on. And also, let's have a look, or we discussed the difference between joining and blending and when you should use either. So you should use joins when you're combining data at a row level, and that's exactly what you're after. And you should use blends when the data sources have different levels of granularity, and therefore if you were to use a join, you would lose some information from your data, and that's not what you want. And also you should use a blend when your data sources come from different systems. For instance, if one is Excel and the other one is SQL, you won't be able to perform a join. You will have to use a data blend. And finally, some other topics that we covered off, also very important topics. First one was dual axis charts. We learned how to create a dual axis chart, and they're very, very handy in Tableau because they save space and they make your visuals really look really appealing. And you have to remember, at least the most important thing that you have to remember with dual axis charts is that remember to synchronize the axes. A lot of people forget that, and if you forget to synchronize your axes, then basically the visual comparison of the two charts that are one behind the other can lead to wrong results and wrong conclusions, wrong business decisions, and can be a very, very bad situation. So as we discussed in the tutorial, as soon as you create a dual axis chart, just right away synchronize the axes, and then you can decide if you want to unsynchronize them or not. And the other point here was that you can move charts around backwards and forwards as required. So one chart will always be behind the other one, but it's very easy to switch them around by adjusting what is in your columns or rows, the order in which they come in there. And the other topic that we discussed is calculated fields in a blend. It is a more advanced topic, but at the same time, I felt that we should talk about it because you will be doing a lot of calculated fields, creating calculated fields in your work in Tableau, and inevitably you will be working with blends. So when you put the two together, you really should know how to create calculated fields in a blend. It has its own specifics, and so, speaking of which, you should just keep in mind that values are aggregated. The values that you're working with in your calculated field, they're aggregated due to the nature of blends. And therefore, you should, as we discussed in the tutorial, make adjustments accordingly. So that brings us to the end of this section. Thank you very much for your attention. Please rate this course before you move on to the next section. I would really appreciate that. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, happy analyzing.